What's going on, guys? This is VinylicPuma, and today I wanted to go over 10 of what I think are the best automatic guns and weapons in Fallout 4. Now, real quick, and before we start, all of these are compatible with the Commando Perk, and I'm going to be focusing on the non-unique and non-legendary versions of these items. But enough intro, more video, and let's go ahead and start with number 10, and that is going to be the 10mm pistol. The 10mm pistol makes for a fairly decent automatic weapon. Not only is the damage superior to your standard pipe gun, but compared to a lot of other weapons, the 10mm pistol's ammo is fairly light in survival mode. And for the sake of comparison, most weapons will allow you to carry about 25 to 30 bullets per pound, while the 10mm pistol will allow you to carry at least 40. With this said, the highest upgraded magazine only holds 24 rounds, and while there is a unique variant in the form of the Wastelander's Friend, I think you'll find that you'd be better off just trying your luck and trying to get a legendary 10mm pistol with some other legendary effect that you might want. After all, a kneecapper effect, two-shot effect, or even a wounding effect would work a lot better than the Wastelander's Friend's crippling effect. Otherwise, for what is essentially Fallout 4's starter weapon, I'd say it's kinda hard to go wrong with this one as far as automatics are concerned. Sure, it's not quite as good as some of the other guns that are on this list, but it can still definitely hold its own, and it might be worth carrying around. Number 9. Combat Shotguns. Given that the combat shotgun is pretty much Fallout 4's best shotgun, I suppose it's not that surprising that the combat shotgun would be a great choice provided that you equipped one with an automatic receiver. After all, you're getting pretty high base damage, a fairly decent mag size of 32 provided you get or craft a drum mag, and you can even equip a suppressor, which is extremely useful as the standard double barrel as well as the laser scatter or plasma splitter weapons don't really allow you to do this. There are even some pretty decent unique variants like the Justice that you can get from Covenant, which possesses a staggering effect, which will occasionally stagger enemies, or you can get the Le Fusel Tarib from Libertalia, which has the Violent legendary effect, which increases damage while also increasing recoil. There are some drawbacks to the combat shotgun though, and this mostly has to do with the combat shotgun's multi-projectile nature, as well as the fact that the shotgun shell ammo itself is somewhat expensive and fairly heavy in survival mode. After all, you can only carry 10 shells or so per pound, which makes a full 32 round mag weigh over 3 pounds, which isn't very ammo efficient. On the flip side though, if you can get a combat shotgun with the explosive legendary effect, these make for some nasty automatics thanks to how the explosive effect seems to apply to each projectile. So I would say if you can get a decent legendary effect like explosive or something else, this could definitely be worth it. Otherwise, you're probably just better off with another automatic. Number 8. Pipe guns. While they may seem pretty terrible at first glance, I do think that pipe guns make for great automatics despite their seemingly poor damage. While you may only see 10 to 16 damage before any perks, you have to keep in mind this is on par with the 45 submachine gun, and while you may not be able to reach a 100 bullet magazine with the pipe gun, you can reach a 48 round magazine, which is still pretty good considering that on the low end, the submachine gun is capable of a 50 round mag. However, I think the best part about an automatic pipe gun and what makes it better than the 10mm pistol is that the ammo is not only extremely cheap and common, but it's also very lightweight if you're playing in survival mode. In fact, you should be able to carry at least 71 bullets per pound, which is better than pretty much every other gun on this list. Even if you're not playing survival, it might be a good idea to just carry one of these around due to the low ammo cost and low ammo weight. If you can, try to get a legendary variant, and actually, if you were to get an explosive variant, it would basically be a different version of the spray and pray with almost identical stats, except with much cheaper ammo and much lighter ammo. Ultimately, I would say that the pipe gun is pretty great, and what it lacks in damage, I'd say it makes up for in pretty much every other area. Number 7. The Assault Rifle. It's kind of unfortunate, but the assault rifle seems to have been somewhat of an afterthought by Bethesda despite its fairly impressive stats. After all, this gun doesn't have any unique variants, and surprisingly, 5.56 ammo is kind of uncommon, which makes using this weapon somewhat difficult. However, I would say it really makes up for this thanks to its large magazine size potential, as you can get up to like 80 rounds per mag. And by comparison, many better weapons like the laser rifle or even like the combat rifle only hold about 30 to 40 rounds, which having almost double of that is really impressive. I also don't think it hurts that due to it using 5.56 exclusively, you can simply carry the assault rifle around with you and use it as a backup if you should run out of some of the more prevalent ammo types like 45, 38, or just fusion cells. So while the assault rifle wouldn't be my go-to, I can't deny that it's definitely a great choice. Number 6. The Railway Rifle. It's not really all that hard, in my opinion, to see why the Railway Rifle would be a good choice. After all, it has ammo that is occasionally retrievable, it deals an impressive 100 damage per shot before any perks, and when you can purchase rail spikes, they are incredibly cheap, which makes it worth it to try and remain friends with NPCs like Tinker Tom, as you can routinely purchase ammo for this weapon from him. I also think I tend to prefer this weapon to many other automatics, thanks to the fact that the Railway Rifle still feels more like a conventional semi-auto weapon, despite having an automatic receiver. So you may find that you aren't wasting quite as much precious ammo as you might with other high-end automatics. Of course, the downside is the ammo weight if you're playing in survival, as a full magazine of 10 weighs about 2 pounds, which can prove to be a little bit of a problem. However, considering that rail spikes are valued in the game at 1 bottle cap, I'd say that's a fair trade-off. According to the wiki, you can get legendary variants of the Railway Rifle provided you complete the Underground Undercover quest for the Railroad. So, on top of already really high base damage, you could potentially get something like a 2-shot variant. But if you didn't side with the Railroad and you're having a hard time finding one of these, be sure to look around Big John's Salvage, as you can find one in a bunker under a blue railway car. Number 5. The Laser Rifle. Compared to either the Institute Laser or Automatron's Tesla Rifle, the Laser Rifle comes out on top whether you're using automatics or not. While you might not get the mag size that the Tesla rifle provides, an automatic laser weapon has the benefit of having much better range and higher damage output after upgrades. Specifically, you should be getting about 38 to 40 damage per shot depending on upgrades with a laser rifle, while you're only getting 31 with the Tesla rifle and 32 to 34 with an Institute laser. Perhaps the greatest advantage that the laser rifle has when compared to the other two, though, is the availability of unique variants, as there are 7 to choose from. For our purposes, the Protectron's Gaze from the Automatron DLC has the Rapid effect, which can boost DPS. The Wazer Rifle and Prototype UP77 both have the Never-Ending effect, which is great for minimizing reloads. And the Righteous Authority is great if you plan on pursuing a bunch of luck-based perks and want better damage on critical hits for VATs. Overall, between respectable ammo weight, great damage, relatively common ammo, and the sheer amount of unique variants, you'd be crazy not to use this thing. So be sure to stock up on some fusion cells when you get the opportunity. Number 4. The Combat Rifle. As far as the vanilla game is concerned, the Combat Rifle is probably the best conventional bullet-style rifle. Sure, some of the DLC weapons are definitely better. However, the major thing the Combat Rifle has going for it as an automatic is that it deals just a tad more damage per shot compared to the Assault Rifle. It also doesn't hurt that the Combat Rifle has some pretty great unique variants, and one of them, the Overseer's Guardian, can be purchased in Vault 87 fairly early on in the game. And once you've equipped an automatic receiver, you can fire 2 shots at the cost of 1 bullet, which improves your base damage by quite a bit. The other unique variant, which is called the December's Child, was made available through the Far Harbor DLC and can be found in the Vim Pop Factory in a secret medical lab that can be accessed with Nick Valentine's help. What this variant does is it allows the combat rifle to act more like an assault rifle and use 5.56 ammo at the expense of having a mag size of 40 as opposed to 80. So if you ask me, the reason that you're going to want the combat rifle as opposed to other automatic weapons is because of the awesome unique variants. Ultimately though, I think you'll find that this thing is surpassed by some of the DLC weapons once they've been converted for automatic fire. But if you don't have any DLC and you're looking for an awesome automatic weapon, be sure to keep an eye out for this thing, as it is pretty awesome. Number 3. The Radium Rifle. When it comes to 45 caliber, you should really strive to get the Radium Rifle. While the combat rifle also uses 45 caliber and the damage is the same provided both weapons have the best automatic receiver, the Radium Rifle is better due to its rad damage component. Basically, what rad damage does is it reduces the enemy's maximum health, making their ability to heal far less effective. In fact, a Radium Rifle can make quick work of legendary human enemies for this reason, as they lose the capacity to return to full health once these legendary enemies get their power boost. There's also the Radium Rifle's unique variants, which I think put it over the combat rifle. While you don't have access to 2-shot, you do get access to the Kiloton Radium Rifle, which has the explosive effect and can potentially make Fallout 4 a cakewalk. It also doesn't hurt that the Kiloton Radium Rifle is sold by Kane and the Nucleus in the Far Harbor DLC, which makes this just about as easy to acquire as the Overseer's Guardian. Ultimately, if you ever wanted a better alternative to the combat rifle, this is it, so be sure to pick one up during your playthrough of the Far Harbor DLC. Number 2. The Plasma Rifle. So, the Plasma Rifle is one of the best energy weapons in the game, as it's extremely ammo efficient and has the ability to deal both ballistic and energy damage simultaneously. In fact, it's worth pointing out that when it comes to its damage components, the Plasma Rifle actually manages to surpass the ballistic portion of most of the weapons I just covered on this list, making it a truly awesome weapon for automatic users. The problem with the Plasma Rifle, though, isn't necessarily the ammo weight, but it is the expensive and rare ammo. To give you some idea, a plasma cartridge weighs slightly more than a fusion cell, but has an in-game value of 5 rather than 3, making it substantially more expensive to use and purchase. Not to mention that plasma weapon wielding gunners are fairly uncommon as well, making obtaining this ammo in large amounts somewhat difficult. That said, you can spec and get the Scrounger perk, which will make obtaining plasma cartridges a little bit easier. As long as you can find enough ammo for this thing, the Plasma Rifle is definitely awesome and will pretty much obliterate whatever is in its path. But I will say that I do wish that that ammo was a little bit more common. And for our final entry, number 1, the Handmade Rifle. When it comes to raw base damage, the Handmade Rifle is the strongest rifle in its class and surpasses things like the Combat Rifle and Assault Rifle, and it can even prove to be a more suitable rifle than the Radium Rifle, depending on the enemies you encounter. As for the Handmade Rifle's automatic version, I've seen it get around 41 damage per shot, which easily beats out most other weapons. Plus, I also think it doesn't hurt that the Handmade Rifle is basically on par with the Assault Rifle when it comes to most of its stats. Heck, the 7.62 ammo the Handmade Rifle uses shares the same ammo weight and value with 5.56. The only real difference is that the Handmade Rifle just deals a little bit more damage per shot and has better range. It also doesn't hurt that the Handmade Rifle has unique variants, and while both of them are very similar, the Splatter Cannon and Problem Solver have the Furious legendary effect, which allows your successive shots to deal more damage than the previous ones. And theoretically, this can get really high, and you can basically just easily take out enemies this way. Both of these are pretty easy to acquire as well, as the Splatter Cannon can be purchased in the Nuketown market from Aaron Corbett, while the Problem Solver is acquired during a speech check with Mason, who is the leader of the Pack Gang. The only thing I'd say that holds this gun back are the upgrade requirements. Certain attachments like suppressors or the 75 round drum will require the Rifleman and Commando perks respectively, which can prove to be a problem if you've invested heavily into one or the other. You may be able to loot a handmade rifle with a suppressor or vice versa. However, it's still kind of annoying that the higher tier upgrades are locked behind specific weapon-focused perks. Overall though, the handmade rifle is pretty common, as you can find it on pretty much any raider in the Nuke World DLC, and if you manage to betray the raiders, you can get a whole bunch of these things and a whole bunch of ammo. Anyway guys, I think that's going to wrap up this particular video. If you liked this countdown, feel free to leave a like, click the bell so you can be notified when I upload more videos, and as always, thank you all so much for supporting this channel, take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.